Well, let's turn to the gaming industry. In Japan has implemented sweeping new regulations aimed at combating gambling addiction. Tom Waterhouse joining us from Waterhouse VC. Tom, good to catch up with you again.
Yeah, good to catch up with you too, Andrew.
So what's prompted this by Japan?
Well, look, Japan's one of the largest gambling markets in the world for horse racing, but also it's one of the largest grey markets in the world. So it's got a very large, wealthy population that loves gambling, but you can only bet on horse racing, boat racing, like a pachinko game, some sort of like bicycle type racing and motorbike racing. So you can't bet on sumo, baseball, casino games and so on. And so it's been a massive market for the grey market operators, and the Japanese look like they've had enough, and they've basically closed down the market, very similar to many other grey markets. And it's going to be very interesting how it plays out. It's very hard to stop. A lot of the big grey market operators have closed down their operation, but where they stop, 1,000 or 10,000 other heads appear of other crypto operators or other type of gambling operators springing up to take Japanese business. So it's a very interesting time and a changing of the guard of who takes business from Japan, and whether they go hard in trying to basically prosecute the people that are shifting traffic, or they take a Brazil approach over the long term and open it up more and allow regulated full-on gambling in Japan. It's hard to know which direction they go in, but it's a very interesting time.
When you talk about a grey market, what's your definition of that? I mean, we know what a black market is in terms of illegality. What's the grey market? Is it grey area, is it?
Yeah, so it's where the rules and regulations make it very clear from an operator or a customer's perspective that they can or can't do something. So there's some jurisdictions, like in Australia, it makes it very clear that, I think it's since 2017, ACMA came and said, well, look, any operators taking business from Australians that's not licensed in Australia, that's illegal. The US is the same, China's the same, Brazil has just changed. So when it's very clear, there's many operators that would say, we don't want to touch that place because it's clear, black and white, that we can't operate there. Where it's not clear in a certain country, and that's called grey, so they're not regulated inside that country, but it's not clear that they can't do it in the country. And so those markets were very lucrative for some of the big crypto operators. Now those big crypto operators have said, we won't touch those black markets, but it doesn't stop many other operators going into those markets, and that's the challenge of a jurisdiction. Do you just completely ban something, or do you allow everything and the customers to bet on every type of game, but regulate, tax, make sure there's player protections and so on? So you've seen, for instance, in Hong Kong, the massive growth in sports betting since they've allowed it onshore and made it legal. And people, obviously in countries like Japan, they want to bet on baseball and sumo, but their only way to do so is to do with an illegal offshore operator.
You mentioned Brazil. What are they doing there then? So
Brazil, very interesting, in the beginning of last year, opened up the Brazilian market. It was also a massive grey market, and they legalised it, and they got 130 applicants within the first month wanting to license and regulate in Brazil. And they've basically said you can offer everything, gaming, sports betting and so on, but you have to be licensed and regulated, and they have a way of administering, because they use a PIX payment system, which is a government-controlled system, payment system. So you can't use that system unless you're licensed in the country. So it's interesting whether the grey market or the black market still succeeds in that space, but it's really, if it works, it's a blueprint of how other regulated markets may adopt a regulatory approach that allows a broader product, but taxing and regulating and so on.
Now, I gather one example here is Yolo Group that has been operating in the grey market, and you're saying they pivoted. What are they doing now?
Oh, well, their founder, Tim Heath, he's a young Australian guy, very wealthy, very successful, and a real entrepreneur. He was at the forefront of crypto and understanding the changing landscape of sports betting 10 years ago. And he's built many very interesting businesses, many supply-side businesses in the gambling space, and also very good sports betting, sports books, crypto sports books. But he's also built an amazing land-based operation there in Tallinn in Estonia. It's Bombay Club, which is an amazing thing that he's done there, and a hotel and so on. So he's really at the forefront of understanding the crypto space, the online space, and the land-based. And I think he can see that the grey market is closing or narrowing, and you either have to be white or black, and he can take his skill sets to many of these new markets that are opening up and becoming white. I think he's mentioned the UAE, and he probably has the perfect skill set for that because he understands land-based casinos, he understands online, he understands new payments. So yeah, I think it's a very exciting time for them, and definitely very timely pivot by them.
Are there broader implications then for particularly crypto gambling?
Look, I think the thing with crypto and decentralized payments is it's always going to allow operators that want to operate in a licensed way and do it in the correct way, and it's also going to allow operators to operate in the way that is unlicensed, a little bit like betting in cash. You know, you could bet with the licensed bookmaker or TAB back in the day, or you could bet with your SP bookie. You know, that's sort of, crypto allows that cash, old school cash element to operate in a far larger extent. So I don't think you're going to stop the bad actors, in a sense of, when I say bad actors to those regulated or markets that want to regulate. But if with product liberalisation and opening up and making it there are no reasons for a customer to go to a grey market or a black market operator. I think you entice the good operators to come on shore, and you also keep them in the taxable boundaries.